You may not have had much of a celebration this new year, but we haven't just changed years. We've stepped into a new era. So now is the time to celebrate. We've been preparing for this since the beginning of time, but it is going to require that we change, that we expand, that we begin operating in a new way of being and thinking and doing. So today, let's take a look at how we can change and expand and grow into this new responsibility with grace and peace. Let it just be easy instead of frustrating, difficult, or uncomfortable. Welcome everyone. It's Marcia Martin, the Heart Healer, and here with me today to help us understand how to move peacefully into change and expansion is St. Francis. Now, I shared a lot about St. Francis's life on another video, so we're not going to go deeply into that. But St. Francis was responsible for changing the way that we were interacting with God. Jesus changed it completely when he arrived to teach us and to lead us, and then St. Francis changed it again. Now, you have to remember that St. Francis didn't exactly embrace this change in his life easily. He was a very entitled nobleman, and so he was used to getting his way and doing his thing and not needing to be really obedient to any kind of deity or be subservient in any way. But St. Francis went to war because that's what noble sons did at that time, and was captured, thrown into prison in very difficult circumstances, and began having these visions of Christ. And it was during this time of extreme stress and sacrifice that he began to understand that his life could be something more. So in 1209, St. Francis composed a simple rule for his followers. And this was really the first time that we stepped out of the confusion that had become the movement that was known as Christianity and into more order. And that rule was called the primitive rule, and it said, "You must follow the teachings of the Lord Jesus Christ and walk in his footsteps." Now, what we know of Jesus is that he was a being that spent most of his time in alignment. He was able to flow with ever-changing circumstances. He was able to meet ever-increasing demands because he was always flowing and in a place of alignment so that he could receive the teaching, the guidance, and the support that the divine were sending to him unceasingly. He didn't spend a lot of time saying, "Hey, God, where are you?" He spent all of his time focused on his heart connection with God so that he would be able to carry out this mission. So St. Francis is telling his followers that they also need to adopt this kind of lifestyle, one that is flowing with changing circumstances instead of forcing or trying to hold on to things the way they used to be. His philosophy was nature is the mirror of God, and that there should be brotherhood under God. Embrace all beings, all of nature, all of the earth, all of the other beings that you are here sharing a life experience with. No one is less and no one is more. All are important. And that was the philosophy that St. Francis shared with his followers. He invited all creation, animals, plants, natural forces, brother sun and sister moon, and he gave them honor and asked them to join him as he praised the Lord. He didn't see anyone as too big or too little. He saw everyone as part of an inclusive whole. And as we move more deeply into this era of cooperation, you also need to adopt this philosophy. If you are looking to try to keep yourself separate or isolate yourself from different beings, no matter what their philosophy, you're going to find that you're making a very difficult way for yourself in this new era. There is good within all, and you need to look for it until you can find it. So getting back to St. Francis, he reminds us that when we are at peace with God, we are better able to devote ourselves to building up peace with all creation. If you're at war within yourself, the place to begin is always within. Get your own self right with what you know to be true. If you have stepped over into the place of anger and negativity, bitterness, resentment, rage, no matter how justified you feel any of this is, you need to step out of there and step in to the high place of love, joy, and peace. God is good, and good is God. These lower vibrational energies are not good for you or the planet or anyone that you're going to interact with. Make the decision to change, to let go of that which isn't working, and embrace this that works for every person, every being, every entity, every time. There is nothing and no one that does not benefit from interacting with love, joy, and peace. So, peace is going to help you find and hold your alignment. Fear, negativity, lower vibrations, limiting beliefs, doubt, they all put you in the place where God is not. And they force you into a state of panic where you're making decisions that are not going to support your highest good. So if you are tired of feeling like you're a day late and $1 short, join me now by letting go of all of that fear and stepping in to a place of love. When you feel that you have been pulled out of your aligned state, and it will happen, please don't respond with condemnation. But when you feel that sense of unease, that sense that you are forcing instead of flowing, just take a deep breath, close your eyes, call on St. Francis, and ask for help getting back into a state of alignment, a state of flow, a state in which you're able to connect fully with your heart center, and you can feel clearly the voice. I guess you can't feel a voice. You'll hear clearly the direction from God. And it doesn't matter whether you hear, see, or feel your interaction with the divine. They are not limited. They will find a way to communicate with you. all you need to be is open and receptive. But as long as you are in the lower negative atmosphere, in that vibrational space, you are closed off and absolutely unable to receive anything. So if you find that you've stepped into fear, respond with joy for having recognized that this is a tough place, and immediately step over into love and acceptance. Now, understand that alignment is absolutely imperative for your well-being. So it's not going to be possible for you to feel good and be out of alignment. But at the same time, you don't want to be critical while you're trying to get into alignment. So you've just got to let go of that negative self-talk. Loving, kind words will help you get into and stay in alignment much faster than calling yourself all sorts of nasty names. Align by taking a moment to be with God. Just close your eyes, take a deep breath, focus on your heart center, and allow it to fill and open with the love and the peace and the joy of God. Align by allowing events to flow and stop trying to force. Nothing is going to happen in your time, but everything will happen in God's time. Now, just as a sign of alignment is something encouraging that we all want to receive, I received this sign of alignment from the angels today. When I was out walking, I found this beautiful brown feather. And I asked the angels, okay, what does this mean? What do you want me to share? And the answer was, to live freely, but to set healthy boundaries. Let that be the expanded way of being as we move into 2021 and into this new era. Live free, but live with good boundaries. But yet, no forcing, just flowing. So now let's take a look at how St. Francis is going to help us make this change be peaceful and feel good instead of being forced and feel really rough. Remember, St. Francis had such an aura of peace around him that all of the animals stopped in their quest for food or whatever it was that they were doing, and they immediately sat and were spellbound by his presence, by his words, and by his beingness. Let us learn that depth of peace so that we can move through our own lives feeling absolutely centered, aligned, and supported. So St. Francis is going to share with us now how to bring about change peacefully. And he begins. Great change requires great commitment, but being committed or aligned with a better or brighter situation doesn't have to be difficult, dangerous, or deplete you energetically. The only time that change becomes draining is when you begin trying to force it to happen faster. Anytime and absolutely every time that change is forced, it means that you've stepped out of alignment. You've stepped off the path that will get you there with the least amount of effort, and you've stepped onto the path that is steep, filled with boulders, and leads you in circles. As you arrive at this era of the Aquarian age in which you recognize that you are partners with God and orchestrating a divine plan instead of separate from God and attempting to make your way forward through hostile territory, you must resist the urge to force. When you feel the need to take control because you believe that things are going too slowly, or your plan will bring better results than the one that God has in mind, I ask you to take a moment. Take a moment to breathe. Take a moment to sit in silence. Take a moment to receive from God. Pushing your way forward, breaking down the door, or any other kind of forceful behavior will satisfy your need to take action, but it will set you away from the answers, away from forward progress, and away from where you want to go. Therefore, if you are serious about bringing about peaceful change, then before you take outward action, you must gain inner clarity. Take a moment to be still and find the guidance you seek. I, St. Francis, stand ready to be your guide on this journey of peaceful change. I commit to being with you every step of the way, but I cannot meet you in the outer realm of your physical existence, for that would defeat my purpose. Instead, I will meet you deep within your heart center. I will be at the place where all souls unite, and from this place of oneness and alignment with the divine, we set a peaceful course of love, joy, and peace and help that will enable you to enact change, live a life filled with abundance, and feel free to experience the best that life has to offer. Take a moment and go within. Meet me in your heart center and find your way to peaceful change. Let's take a look again at what St. Francis shared with us. He is telling us to move forward into freedom. Now, we know that the energetic realm always sees the biggest picture, and they want for us the greatest happiness that we can ever imagine. When we stop forcing and start flowing, we are not saying that we are incapable. Instead, we are exercising our free will by choosing to be guided and supported by the highest intelligence instead of being locked into just what we can see with our own ego and our own limited perspective. You're just saying yes to getting help from the most powerful, the most loving, and the most brilliant inspiration possible. But in no way are you indicating that you are not enough. The wise man knows that by yourself, there's very little that you'll be able to accomplish. That's why we're a social people. That's why each one of us is not able to do everything well. Instead, we all come with some gift that we want to offer, something that we can do better than anyone else. However, if we feel that we don't need anyone else because we can do everything, well, maybe not perfectly, but good enough, we'll soon find ourselves lonely and not advancing very quickly, if at all. Instead, it is time to understand and accept that we are better together. And then that when we cooperate with each other, everyone can expand and change into the best version of themselves. And we can do it all with love, with grace, and with peace. So please, join me and join St. Francis as we move forward into this fabulous new Aquarian age with joy, love, and peace in our hearts. And let this change flow and never be one of force. Thanks everyone for being here with me today, for liking, for sharing, and for subscribing. I want to invite you to join me on Patreon, where we go even deeper into the energetic realm. But as always, please join me on my website, marciamartinthehearthealer.com or mmhearthealer.com, where you will find even more resources to help you on your spiritual journey. So welcome to the Aquarian age. Welcome to this new era of cooperation. And I just want to say thank you for joining me. Thank you for being here. Thank you for agreeing to be a leader of love in the world. And as always, I'm sending you my deepest gratitude and all my love.